Call this Jackson County July 22nd, 2019 to order. Roll call, Mr. Manning.
Mr. Rich? Present. Mr. Venable? Present. Ms. Gilbert?
Present.
Mr. Sis? Present. Chairman present.
Forum, we'll have our prayer by Mr. Porter and our pledge by Mr. Sis.
Lord God, our Father in heaven, we are truly blessed to be able to come to you with this avenue of prayer and give thanks for this country that we live in, but we pray for this country, God, because of the difficulties that we're having right now. We just pray that everyone that is involved in making decisions will look to you for the guidance that they need. So God, we're thankful for our country, we're thankful for this county, we're thankful for those that serve us in a public way, that give their time and their effort to represent us, and because, God, we know that all human forms of government are blessed by you, so we're thankful for that. Right now, we also offer a special prayer for Tommy Haynes. God, we pray that he'll recover from his difficulty and that he'll be restored to a good measure of health. We pray that you'll watch over us and guide us all. In Christ's name, amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Lord, please don't let Donald Trump kill us all.
Next be to approve the agenda. If you would, tweak it, strike number 8 on the work session. Need a motion.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed. Next be awards and presentations. We don't have any public comments. First is up is Mr. Morgan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members of the Commission, citizens, I distributed out to each of you a overview of the geotechnical engineering report, which I requested from the Jackson County Commission and received. I appreciate that. I've summarized part of that report within this summary I prepared for you. The first page and the second page contains the most concerning items. One of the things that I think is important to realize, the geotechnical engineer is not a structural engineer, and he states so in his report. And he mentions within his report that a structural engineer needs to be hired in order to further evaluate the structural instability of the courthouse. There's some problems here. And when you face the north out here and look at the doors as you're going in, you will notice that the northwest corner is actually the low ground in the courthouse. And that is where it seems that the most instability problems of the building. As you go into the records room behind the north bathroom, which was a public accessible bathroom, it is no more, as it has basically been condemned by this commission. And by saying that the public can no longer enter that bathroom, you're entering, and there's a reason for it. I agree, as I mentioned the last meeting y'all had. I agree, there's some problems very visible within that bathroom that includes falling tile and falling ceiling and separation of the hard ceiling structure from the wall. And it is obvious, and the engineer, Mary Engineering makes a mention in the report, why, or possibilities that is happening. They have not identified it totally within the northwest end, but they have, in their bore sampling, they identified some critical areas within the courthouse. And one of those areas, which is not specifically, I guess, spelled out within the summary, a Mary Engineering summary, but which becomes obvious if you think about the report which they have provided y'all, is groundwater. You've got a hydrological compromise situation. There could be as much if you notice where they ran into groundwater in the borings and the amount and where their bore stopped, where the auger stopped on the bedrock, there's a possibility there could be anywhere from 4 to 6 feet of water standing underneath the courthouse. And in the Murray engineering report, it mentions you have soft earth in footings and underneath the courthouse. As you get down deeper, of course, the earth becomes more compacted. But even with the compact earth, if you have groundwater invasion, it becomes, you know, if you think about the problems you see within the courthouse, particularly on the low end, and the ground subsidence, the collapse of the ground, and I do apologize for the pictures I provided you. You know, there's a lesson in the pictures. I used used cartridges for my ink, refilled used cartridges. I'll never do that again. That's the reason some of your pictures are dark, and I apologize for that. But I think even so, you'll still get an idea. Behind the north bathroom, within the circuit court records room, you have a large, in the old courthouse section, you have a large gaping hole in the wall. Some of y'all have probably seen it. It's a vertical hole or vertical area that runs probably from the ceiling and possibly up into the hard structure of the ceiling down to the ground level. And in noticing that, and I tried to take a picture of it, and I have good pictures on my phone, my videos of it, you've got movement of the wall. In other words, this much. And I think I mentioned this to you a couple of weeks ago, you know, anywhere from 3 to 4 inches. In other words, why is this happening? And the geotechnical engineer warns you against this as commission. In other words, this is falling on you. You cannot deny, you cannot, I guess, put off what needs to be done. You need, the geotechnical engineer has suggested that you do a couple of things. And of course, none of this is cheap. So, it's going to cost a lot of money, no doubt. He suggested a consultation be ongoing to determine what is causing the continuous subsidence of the ground on the northwest corner and other areas of the courthouse. For instance, right out here at back, the ground collapse on the ramp area, which you can see the 3 to 4 inch difference between the wheelchair ramp and the concrete pad is significant, and it's increasing. All the areas of earth and soil subsidence around the courthouse where the cracking is occurring and is noted within the Murray engineering report is increasing. It is not, you know, it's not stopping. It's getting worse. And like I said, on the front page, I've made the summary here. This is on y'all. And it can't be ignored. There's something got to be done about it. The old structure of the courthouse is continuing to deteriorate where it meets the new structure of the courthouse. I worked here 26 years ago. In that records room, where there's a gap in the structural support, that was not there. There was cracking evident in the plaster in the wall. You start to see the brick, kind of like in the north records room that I tried to picture there. You can start to see the old structure brick in that north records room in the circuit court where the records are stored. It's beyond that. That's sort of what it was like 26 years ago. Today is what you see behind the north bathroom in the record storage area there. There's a serious problem. It's not only due to water inundation, there's other problems. In the geotechnical engineer mentions that he doesn't know what's causing it. He says that's the reason there needs to be further investigation done and further studies done. He doesn't know it, and he mentioned the possibility of sinkhole. He mentions the possibility of collapsed storm drains, collapsed sewer lines. Because when the sewer was pumped out down there, is what I understand, he noticed that there was red earth coming out from the sewer lines. So you have possibility of multiple problems, but the specific identification of what exactly the problem is has not been mentioned. is not stated. And as the folks at Amari Engineering mentions, he did not have access to the historical data of the wells that surrounded the courthouse. So you've got a historical hydrological problem. But not only that, he didn't have access to the plans, the original plans. So he doesn't know how deep the footings go down. He doesn't know what the soil is, even though they did bore drillings, and there's a lot of soft soil under there. And as some of y'all probably know, when you have soft soil and you have a lot of water above bedrock, above your foundation, that would make perfect sense why on the northwest corner of the low area you have 4 inches of subsidence of the floor structure. And as you look at that bathroom, as you look at that panel which covers up one of the stalls down there, you can see the depth of the floor subsidence, how much it has collapsed. You know, and it was approximately 2 to 2.5 inches in January when he took the picture and the initial report was made. Now it's 3 inches. And like I said, you know, it's within the record storage area, the old part of the building, there's continuous degradation there of structural collapse, and you can literally see, of course you can't see it, you know, unless you stay down there for a long period of time, but you can tell after a long period of time the separation of the walls in that part of the building. And as you go up on the second floor, there has been no evaluation. That would need to be done by a structural engineer. I took lots of pictures of the courthouse, and as you look up on the eaves of the courthouse and the lintels and the roof area, you can literally see, if you take a picture and walk all the way around the courthouse, you can see the separation. It's evident there's movement going on. Amari Engineering, the geotechnical engineer, feels like, and he stated in here, it's probably because of subsidence of ground. In other words, there's an instability of ground going on here. The ground is not stable. There's probably water pooling under the courthouse itself, and that is causing, but there's, you know, he's not for sure. There needs to be further study. That's going to cost money, I realize that. But this is another reason, another area for you to go forward and say to the state, to the legislative delegation, hey, not only do we have road problems, we've got a structural problem here in the courthouse. Surely you don't want to, and I'm not necessarily talking to you, but I am talking to you, but the case must be presented to the legislative delegation, to the governor, to even FEMA. I have talked to Mr. Jackson about this, you know, as far as FEMA goes. What happens if you have a structural collapse of an outside wall? You know, and that is the FEMA Operations Center. You start to get into some big problems. You've got the gas line, incoming infrastructure. You have gas lines down on that end of the building. Is that stable with the subsidence of the earth that's going on underneath the courthouse? You know, after reading the report, after taking pictures, I would feel like if I didn't come forward and tell you, because I do care, I would be negligent myself. You know, that I would say, hey, there's something wrong with Gary if I didn't come forward and tell y'all what I'm seeing. So this is what I'm doing. I'm telling y'all, I put it in writing. I've made a detailed summary here. I've taken pictures. Now, I apologize for the pictures because my printer malfunctioned. I do have good pictures on my phone. I can send you emails. I've got pictures that I've converted to emails. And also within the geotechnical report, some of the pictures that I have taken coincides with the geotechnical report. There's problems. And gentlemen and ladies, it's on you to take care of it. Got any questions? Here I am. Thank you for your time.
All right, thank you. I'll respond quickly. We are aware, we've been aware of this problem, that there has been some cracking and settling. That's the reason this was done. We've actually sent out 4 contractors, as this engineer has requested us to do, and we're waiting on them to get back with us on numbers. So that's what we're waiting on right now. We can't really go into the governor or anybody else with the cost until we get these numbers back. So that's what we're waiting on right now, is numbers from them they're doing their study to see what it's gonna take to fix it. So that's where we're at right this minute. And we've been waiting on them about, basically about 4 weeks. 4 or 5 weeks.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I do want to reiterate there, who knows what the weather's going to bring? The more rain we get, the more of a problem this is going to be. Dry weather, whatever the weather may be, you've got to consider. The big question is there an immediate problem that would affect public safety?
Right.
That is what the structural engineer must be asked. In other words, can a citizen come into this courthouse? Can you come into this courthouse? And in the commission office, it was noted that there was floor collapse within the commission office. You had a hole which is patched and covered up in there. So, and it's very evident there's problems all over the courthouse, an old structure. I'm not saying it's going to fall down on us tomorrow, but I am saying there is a problem that has to be addressed, can't be ignored. And so, is it a public safety problem within the immediate future? How long can this be drawn out?
And that's what
Take
we're
it off.
hoping in the next couple of weeks. Hopefully they'll be getting back to us quick and tell us those answers. So,
Thank you.
all right. Any more questions? All right, Mr. McAllister.
Thank you for y'all's time. I just got one, make it short and sweet. Mr. Morgan brought up a great issue about gas lines and stuff like that. We can look back at Bridgeport, Alabama and see what a broken gas line can do for a community. It destroyed half the city of Bridgeport, so that might be something we want to look into. But one reason that I'm here tonight, I spoke with Mr. Haynes and had about a 45-minute conversation with him Saturday morning. He's putting the blame on y'all, and y'all putting the blame on him, or Jim Livingston and the other, I can't remember his name, but let's all be grown-ups about this. Somebody set up a meeting somewhere where the public can attend and quit laying the blame on him and him quit laying the blame on y'all. Make it a public place, high school, preferably North Jackson, Scottsboro, anywhere where some people can get to it and attend. And let's come together as a community, as the state legislative reps and all the people that's necessary for the change. Tired of beating a dead horse. Let's get together, do what it takes for the good of the community, and say, here's an opportunity for y'all to make a change over status quo. And quit kicking the can down the road. Give the people the opportunity to say, yes, this is going to be a change. We're going to give them a vote to vote on a tax or redo some money or something. Take the heat off of y'all. Put it on a public ballot. And from what I understand, I haven't really been versed in politics, but I can pretty much see that this one blames this until you talk to this one, and that one blames that one until you just back and forth. But who's right or who's wrong really doesn't matter. Let's put it before the people of Jackson County. Let them make the decision of whether we get a tax, we reappropriate money, whatever we need to do. And whatever it takes to get the legislative delegation together, or representatives, whoever it takes, to get it on the quickest ballot. When in March we have another election.
You don't remember it? Yeah.
Right, okay. Whatever it takes to get something on the ballot to make a change. Let the people of Jackson County make the decision whether they want to make the change. And that way when they call you and say, hey, my pothole's not fixed, my road's not paved, I'm sorry, you had an opportunity in March to vote yes or no, and to give you something to back you up instead of hollering, I don't have money, I don't have money. People are tired of hearing that. Put it where the people can vote. That's what the whole Democratic Society is about, is let's give them the opportunity to say yes or no, or maybe or something. That way you're covered, and the people of the county say, we brought it on ourselves or we helped ourselves. That's all I got to say. Thank you.
Legislators have already went into session this year. They won't go back in until April. So nothing can be put on the ballot unless they was to go to a special session. So it'll be the following
November 2020.
November 2020. before it can be,
Even if that's
Yeah,
long, can
so-
we get it to where
yeah.
it will be?
I
on
just
the-
wanted to make sure.
But you have to understand,
Yes,
Mr. McAllister, they're the ones that would put it on the ballot, we can't.
I understand that, but I've got a copy of something that Tommy Haynes, and I'll present to you after the meeting, because I don't really understand it myself, but a proposal that he's got. And I don't know whether y'all saw it or you haven't saw it. I spoke with Tim earlier this week.
I haven't seen it.
Well, I've got a copy of it right here after the meeting, I'll show it to you, and, I think we need to do something, and let the people make the decision. You know, and that way it gets the heat off of y'all.
Yeah.
You can say, here where you had the opportunity, you either did or you didn't.
Okay. Thank you, appreciate it. Anybody got any questions for Mr. McAllister?
I'd just like to say, I think the commission agrees with you 100%, Mr. McAllister. You know, we would like to see something put before the people, and let the people decide, and if they decide not to, then the problem still doesn't go away. And that's what happened. We had one vote one time 4 years ago. The problem didn't go away. You know, we still have the problem, but we have to figure out how to fix it. And like Ms. Gilbert said, the commission, you know, we're elected to be administrators over the county's dollars. That's our job. And they're elected to allocate dollars and pass laws. So we don't have the authority to change any of our funding. We're glad to meet anytime, any place.
That's why I can't understand, we don't have the authority to do it here, but yet we're not sitting down and say, hey, we need some help over here because there's this one against that one. Lay your public and private quarrels down. Let's get together and say, this commission wants to meet with this delegation.
I don't think there's nobody on this commission that's got a private quarrel with them. I don't.
But, you know,
I
I
like them all personally.
think we've
I
got to
think
do
there's nothing wrong
something.
with any of them. And I'm willing to meet on Saturday, Sunday, don't matter to me. I'll meet anytime, at night, morning, don't matter to me. So, and I'm pretty sure I feel confident that any of these commissioners will do the same thing.
I agree.
And I
It
believe
is-
that's been conveyed.
We do gotta work together. I mean, that's the top line. You can, yeah here and yeah there, he said this, she said that, but you've gotta work together as a body to get anything done. And I agree with that, and that's what needs to be done.
Let's make it happen.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Kelly.